We got some real life drama. These are your stories. If you want to submit a story, I reopened the form. It's linked in the description below. The first story wants to be left anonymous. I'm being cyber stalked by my boyfriend's aunt. Well then, off to a strong start here. Yes, aunt, not an ex, not even mother-in-law. It all started a couple months ago when my boyfriend confronted his aunt about some money that she owes him. He wasn't really going to bother with asking her to pay him back until she had asked him for more. And when he said he couldn't, she took it personal and berated him for it. Well, that's nice. That just makes you seem very ungrateful for the money I did lend you. Soon after, they met again. He was showing her something on his phone for a family thing and had left her for a second, and that's when she took down my number. That day, she called me saying that she was his fiance.
Wait a damn minute.
Huh? That she was his fiance, the aunt, and saying that she won't blame me for not knowing. Obviously confused. Yeah. I contacted my boyfriend asking if he knew the number. He said it was his aunt, and then asked what she said. I told him everything, and he proceeded to call her and confront her. She just sent a message saying, "Fine, you win, keep him." Yeah, I'm going to. Where it's not creepy and it's legal. Some day goes by and she calls me again saying the same thing. After that, I decide to block her, thus causing more spiraling. For the next few months, she called me and texted me on multiple different numbers to a point that I had to get caller ID on my phone. Oh my God. It was even more stressful with the fact that I was waiting on job calls during this period of time. Some days she called me more than 10 times. My boyfriend had to constantly confront her, and at a point, his mom, his aunt's sister, who finally found out and told her to stop. We concluded that she was doing this to drive a wedge between us and hopefully not her being secretly in love with him. Well, that's where my mind was going, if I'm being totally honest, because what type of aunt is like, hey, I'm his fiance? Strange behavior. I'm not from some major country and can't be bothered with filing this to the police. Plus, this just felt childish to me. Anyway, August comes and I'm leaving the country for a new opportunity, and I decide I'm going to give my phone cards to my boyfriend and father so she doesn't have contact with me. And if she tried, she would just end up getting one of them. Fast forward to this month, my boyfriend's family had a holiday gathering and she gets access to his phone again. She sends me messages via a messaging app that I use saying and pretending to be my boyfriend, messaging me about, I have a woman, we need to stop this, then tries to call me right after, but lucky for me, I already read the messages first. She then makes a post under my boyfriend's account saying, aunt's name, my bae. Okay, she's secretly in love with him. Not so secretly. I don't bother with it because she has his phone. I can't do much. The next day I saw she contacted me on my Instagram too. At this point, I've really had enough. When my boyfriend got back his phone and deleted the post, I had a serious talk about the lack of privacy I felt with her having access to my details, my photos, my family and friends' photos, and other social media accounts. I have been very adamant about the situation. I am now considering if this is worth all the unnecessary drama. Any advice? Thanks for reading in advance. Oh my God, I have no advice other than to file a police report because that has to get to a point of harassing, no? All those constant phone calls, messages, posts on social media, this is crazy. I don't even know what the point is. What is she trying to get out of this? That's what I want to know. None of it even makes sense. This is just such strange behavior. I really don't have good advice. But hopefully someone in the comments does. So please, guys, help me out with this one. Because what the fuck? Next story is coming from Aubrey. My husband found out he fathered a child through ancestry DNA. Holy smokes. My husband and I have been together for 18 years. We have a very significant age difference between us, him being much older. I met him when I was 24. He had a 14-year-old daughter from a previous relationship when we met. I also had children from a previous relationship. For the most part, we've had a great marriage and a great life together. The incident that the title is referring to happened a few years ago. I had received a message on Facebook from one of his exes that he had no children with. They were high school sweethearts but only stayed together for a couple of years after graduation. The message stated that she needed to speak to him about an attorney that was trying to get in touch with him but would not elaborate any more on it. I did relay the message, but he declined as we both thought it was a little bit too suspicious and we just didn't want any of the drama. Fast forward about 3 months. I then get a message from his step-niece, Irma, who's also a friend of mine and the person that introduced us. He was married to her aunt, not the ex that messaged prior about the attorney, and they raised her because her mom passed away when Irma was quite young. My husband and Irma's aunt had been divorced for years when I met him. Anyways, Irma messages me and asks me to call her because she has something very important to tell me. So of course, I go ahead and I call her. She starts telling me about a girl, Shelby, 29, that got in touch with her recently and claimed to be my husband's child, explaining that she did the ancestry DNA kit and found out that whom she was told and always thought her father really was not. And it came back that my husband was her actual father. What a crazy day that would be for her. She was conceived before him and I met, but during the call we found out that she was only 4 months younger than his other daughter. So he had 2 women pregnant at the same time and cheated on his daughter's mother when she was 4 months pregnant. There's a lot of pregnant people in this story. It's kind of hard to keep up here. Finding this out hurt so bad because I only ever knew my husband as an honest, loving man. He has been so good to me, and in our early days, I even asked him if there was any chance of him having more children than his 1 daughter. This was very important to me because my previous partner and children's father was a lying, cheating, manipulative narcissist and had numerous children with numerous women. My husband knew this and knew why it was one of my insecurities and triggers. I really felt like the life we had was just a big lie. He was not the person I thought I knew. After ending the call with Irma, my husband and I discussed the situation. He went back in his memory because at first he did not remember the girl's mother's name. After a bit, he did remember it was a 1 or 2 night stand and basically never spoke or saw her again until now. A few days later, he called his dad to talk about the situation. Come to find out, everyone in his family already knew because this girl and her mom had contacted everyone in his family, including the ex that messaged about the attorney, but never even once tried to contact my husband or myself. Okay, I thought you meant his family knew and they were all just lying to you. So thank God for that, I guess. My husband's info has always been public and so is mine. After finding this out, I had a bad feeling that it was intentionally done this way so Shelby and her mom could, in a sense, get his entire family on their side, or so to speak, so it would be harder for my husband to say no to their advances. Okay. Yeah, that way he couldn't deny it or avoid the situation, I guess. I did not tell him he couldn't talk to her. That was his choice. But I did tell him to be very careful because to me, the way they did everything just seemed suspicious, which I think is fair. It may or may not have had bad intentions. Somehow the young lady and her mother and her aunt all got his cell phone number. He did not answer because he was still trying to process. It had only been a few days and only 1 day since he realized his entire family, friends, and exes had all known. Finding out he had a 29-year-old daughter he never knew was a lot to process. They all 3 called and left voicemails saying that they just wanted to participate in an actual DNA test so everyone would know for sure. His dad ended up calling the next day and my husband found out that his father actually met her in person and that he should at least try and meet her. Her mom, and her aunt proceed to keep calling and leave voicemails. He finally decides to answer and explains that at this moment in time, he needs and is asking for some time to process. She begins to yell and scream. So then I proceed to get on the phone with her and I'm trying to get her to understand where he's coming from and how he's just finding out the way that he did. She begins to call me a Mexican Chihuahua Yes, the term she used, because I am Latino and when I get upset, I talk fast. I was not disrespectful, just trying to explain, and as I tried, she kept talking over me, saying he owes her 29 years and he's a POS for not wanting to meet her. Did he say that, or is he just asking for some frickin' time? She then tells me that her and his other daughter already had a DNA test done and it came back that they are indeed siblings. So I then asked them, if you already know, why are you using that as a lure to get him to meet you? She then says it doesn't matter and her mom and her are going to sue for 29 years of back child support. Well, if he didn't know, how would he pay the child support? At this point, my suspicions were proven and I told her so and hung up and blocked the numbers. The next morning, I woke up to all three of them commenting on numerous posts on my Facebook. The posts were all horrible things, saying that my husband and I were POS, that we were drug addicts, that I was a prostitute, that they were so much better than us and glad he didn't want to meet them, that we didn't deserve to be in their presence, and that I was a gold digger and only with him because he can take care of me, and much other terrible things. There were well over 25 comments on several of my posts, all saying horrible things about us. Even saying that he was a horrible father for not being in her life. Every person on my friends list could see all of this, and I had a lot of private messages asking what this was about. Just for an FYI, my husband has always been wonderful to me, and he's always been wonderful to our son and my children that are not biologically his. He's helped get first cars and many, many other things for all of our children. He even let me be a stay-at-home mom for 8 years to raise all of our children while he worked his butt off to provide for all of us. I did have my own financial situation that helped as well, so it was never about being with him for his money. I could have lived decently without him. Anyways, after seeing all these terrible comments, I had had enough. I did comment back to all three of them. I told the mother how dare she say anything because she was the one that did not know her child's father. Oh, I never even thought about that. Who her child's father was for 29 years. And that she was the one who lied to the man who thought was the father and lied to her daughter for all of those years. I then told the aunt that they were all on my page stalking and harassing me, and if they were so happy he didn't want to meet them, then why were they on my posts commenting blatant lies about the both of us? And then I told the girl, Shelby, that the way she went about the entire situation seemed very suspicious and led us to believe that they only did it that way because they intended for there to be drama from the very beginning. I then blocked all of them, and for the first time since I made my Facebook account, I made my page private. Probably for the best. Things were quiet for a bit afterwards. Fast forward about 2 months, and my husband's niece, Irma, messages me telling me how we had dodged a huge bullet. That Shelby was crazy, had been harassing her, making threats to come beat her up, break her windows out, call child services to have her kids taken away, and other threats just because Irma refused to bring messages to my husband. Irma had told her that she didn't want to be involved anymore and that if my husband didn't want any messages relayed, she was going to try to force it. Needless to say, Irma ended up having to block her and her mom and her aunt as well. It's been a couple years since all this happened, and fortunately, it's been quiet and drama-free. My husband found out they tried to sue for back child support, but the case was thrown out. I was hoping for that update. And that's the last we've heard, thank God. Thanks for listening to our roller coaster of a ride, and be careful with the ancestry DNA. They might just open up one hell of a closet of skeletons. Stay sassy and classy, y'all. I love you, Joss, and all of you in our sassy, classy family. So much love here. What a whirlwind. I was hoping you were going to give an update on the suing for child support, and the case was thrown out. I don't know the details of that and why it would be thrown out, but if he didn't know for 29 years that he had this daughter, he's not to blame, Mom. You had told her that this other man was her father the whole time. You didn't even know, or did you? Before we get into the next story, we're hopping on my favorite time of day, hydration station. Okay, that's not gonna work. Cheers. Hope you're having a good day. Make sure you drink a sip of water. Your body will thank you for it. Mine thanks me all the time by getting sick. Next story wants to be left anonymous. So my family drove to my cousin's wedding, dad's side. Let's call her Luz. We drove from Southern California to Nebraska, and the 5 of us slept in our car to save money. We drove with the families of 2 of my dad's siblings, the bride's aunt and uncles. So 3 cars, 14 people, and everyone slept in the cars to save money. Why does that actually sound like a lot of fun? To give more background, Luz is the first grandchild and the favorite. That's why I chose that name. It's how everyone sees her. We all got used to it, but the wedding incident just pissed me off. This is the place to vent, okay? You came to the right spot. While she was planning her wedding, she went to Mexico to visit family around the same time we went. My dad agreed to drive her well over an hour away to the nearest big city to pick a wedding dress because his sister, our aunt, suggested it. And my dad tends to give in more easily to his siblings. They were gone all day, so if we wanted to go to the city, we had to ask my mom's side. Not a problem, we could always count on them when they could help. Throughout the visit, there was talk about me being in the wedding party, my aunt's idea. But in the end, Luz told me no, apparently not the case. When we left, she was worried about her dress on the flight, so my dad offered to drive her to Southern California with us, and her family can get her from our house, or she can fly from there. So nice of your father. I was like, oh damn. She insisted her dress needed a seat so it wouldn't get damaged, and it had to be in the car with us. Now I understand we're getting to the point of where you might have been pissed off. Everyone gave in to her demands as usual, and since my family had the biggest car, she went with us. I, being the oldest, mature, and smallest, short of my siblings, volunteered to go in the very back seat with the dress. It's very nice of you. I spent 2 days cramped between the window, the dress, and the luggage. I'm not even trying to laugh. I can just picture. I'm just like picturing it in my head. Now, when we got to her parents' house for the wedding, everyone had left for the rehearsal. They left a key for us to get in. She was upset we didn't just go directly to the rehearsal. Mind you, we were tired, hungry, and hadn't showered since we left home. Yeah, I think that's understandable. Exhausted, probably just want to shower and relax for a little bit, I'm sure. Now, the day of the wedding, we are getting ready, and one of my aunts shows up upset. My cousin convinced her to let the stylist do her hair, even though that had not been part of the plan. It didn't go well, and my mom had to fix it. My mom did everyone's hair. What? Mine, my sister, my 3 female cousins who drove with us, and one of my aunts. That day, because she's good at it, and we've been up for hours getting ready, but she still agreed to help. So basically, your parents are saints and just willing to help anybody, which is precious. During the ceremony, I start to fall asleep because I'm exhausted, only to find out I was part of the wedding party. Well, that would have been nice to know. I had to go up to put a cord around the couple. Honestly, I was so tired, I don't remember. I think my cousins started to get mad at me at that point, but I tried to be the respectful younger member of the family that I was raised to be, and I kept my mouth shut. Towards the end of the ceremony, Luz's youngest brother, Ray, asked us for help handing out the bubble wands and liquid to the guests. The bridesmaids hadn't done it, and he couldn't do it alone, so all the cousins started to go around doing that. Come to find out during pictures, Luz excluded her dad's side of the family, our side, from wedding pictures. The people that drove her and her wedding dress? That's so nice. We went to the reception, but by that point, even my dad was done with all the BS. We didn't stay past the scheduled family dances. We left and got takeout because the food wasn't that good and too early in the reception. We stayed in a hotel that looked like a motel because apparently she knew the family and could get us a discount. I'm not even sure if that happened because my dad and uncles handed the bill. When we left, we visited her family to say goodbye. She wouldn't get out of the car to talk to us. Her new husband said bye for her and apologized for everything. I've only seen him a couple of times, but he seems like a totally sweet and nice guy. Not sure what he sees in her. When we got home, my mom confronted my dad about everything and he agreed with her. He's still pissed but doesn't want to cause issues within the family. Before, it was for my grandma's sake, but she passed away a couple of years ago, and now it's more for my grandpa's health. He hasn't been well since she passed. Oh, I'm so sorry, that's so sad. I also later found out my dad paid for the rings only for them to lose them. Your parents are saints. He doesn't know. No one is brave enough to even say anything. We only talk to Luz at family events. She decides to go, or if she reaches out. My dad is just done with all of it at this point. I'm sorry if this is long and my grammar is bad, but I needed to vent. There is no need to apologize. This is exactly what this is for. That stressed me out, and I'm not even in your family. But bless your parents for always giving, even in times that people might not deserve it. It just shows what type of people they are, you know? If you want to submit your story, the link's down below. Stay classy out there, stay sassy, and I'll see you tomorrow.